My garage lighting has me kept in the dark and feeling like a mushroom. There's dark and shady spots everywhere, and heaven forbid you drop something on the floor because you're never going to find it again. But as I'm detailing, it's so hard to see swirls or micro scratches or anything like that, or when I'm doing repairs on the cars. But that's all going to change today. We're going to add some hexagonal lighting up top, and we're going to first start with this single bay over here by the BMW. And this is going to take care of this whole entire single bay. Now, full transparency, this kit was sent to me in order to give it a shot and to give my thoughts on. But if it works the way I'm hoping, I'm going to buy 2 more for the Viper side of the garage. It's a 3-bay garage, so I'm going to have light everywhere. This is going to be like the surface of the sun. So stick around. Let's watch this complete transformation. All right, step number 1 is going to be unboxing this kit and seeing what all we have in here. And I'm going to walk you through that. We've got some zip ties. We've got 2 plug-in style power cords. Wow, we've got connectors for days. Holy smokes, there's a lot of connectors in here. Then we've got 2 different lengths. So here's your lights themselves. Now these are going to be the ones that make the hexagons. And there's some longer length. They're all the way in the bottom, but that's what's going to frame the border around the outside. So I'm going to get all this unboxed. I'm going to lay it on the workbench so we can see what we're working with. Then we're going to begin laying out the lights actually on the floor of the garage so I can tell exactly where I want. Now, to make sure that you've done the best job possible and have this looking aesthetically great, you want to make sure that everything's symmetrical. Is it lined up properly with the door? Where is it going to fall in relation to the ceiling? Now, I want mine to be a little closer to what would be the wall that's part of the exterior of the house, or the interior rather. Because if I have the garage door up, there's going to be a lot of lights hidden anyway. I would rather have the lights over here, if that makes any sense. To get that symmetry, I'm going to make sure I take a lot of measurements, but I'm also going to be using lasers to make sure that I'm perfectly parallel with the wall. Then I'm perfectly centered going this way. And that way, when I install the other 2 sets on that side, all I have to do is take that laser, line it up with my screw heads, and I'll have a perfect line going across to do the same thing on the other side. And that's going to avoid having to snap chalk lines and making the ceiling a hot mess. Now, a little trick that I'm going to do to hang these up there. I really like a drop down look. It gives you a nice drop shadow effect, but it's also good to hide any wiring and good to be able to route around and over some of these brackets that are holding the garage door opener and the garage tracks. So I've made these spacers. These are 1.5-inch spacers that I just simply cut from a piece of PEX. I bought a piece of 3/8-inch PEX by 10 foot. It cost me $6, and I was able to cut a whole box full of these things. I actually have another piece of PEX just in case I need them when I do the other side of the garage. So you can see that by using those spacers, I was able to go right over this gridiron right there. You can also see from the laser lines that my screw heads are perfectly in line with the lasers. That's going to keep me going straight all the way across. Now, when you're assembling these lights, it's really quite simple. So you're going to have one of these connections. This is just a straight one. If you can see inside, it can really only go together one way. You've got 2 little connector points here. Then you've got 2 little connector points on the other side. And of course, you've got your screw mount hole right there. So the way this goes together, you're going to look inside the end of the tube. You're going to see where the little connectors are. You're going to match those up with the connectors on this side. You kind of angle it. And then, see, let me do that again. You angle it a little bit, you slip it in, push it, and now you've got a great connection. Then you're going to mount the other one to the other side, and you're going to continue on. We're going to start out with the grid around the outside. So I absolutely loved the lights that I put in over the BMW side of the garage. It was a no-brainer that I was going to install more on this side over here with the Viper, but I did decide to go with just 1 single set instead of 2, and that was for a couple different reasons. One, I was just afraid it would be a little too bright in here. These things are very bright. don't get me wrong, they don't bother your eyes or anything, but I was afraid it was just going to be a little bit overkill. The other reason is because there was a possibility that I was going to have to replace a breaker in my circuit box. It's not a big deal. It's not a hard job, but I just didn't want to hassle with it. So I'm just sticking with the two, and I do really, really love it. Both of these units are dimmable. Again, we've talked about this, but they're dimmable from the switch. All you have to do is turn the switch on, off a little bit quicker, and it's going to dim down. There's a bright, a medium, and a low light mode for these, but they look fantastic overall. Make sure to follow the tips. Make sure to use the spacers to drop down. That way you can get around all of the angles. Make sure you use a laser if you have a laser. If not, I'm going to drop a link to a couple different lasers. One's very affordable, and the other one's kind of like you're going to use it more often than just to hang these lights, but super, super helpful overall. This has really accentuated some of the looks of the garage, of the cars. It's taken away all the dark spots. Highly recommend these lights all the way around. I picked them for a couple of reasons, this particular brand. They seem to have great reviews for them, but the main reason is because they were dimmable, and I couldn't find others that were dimmable. So that was important to me. I know there's going to be different times when I want that dimmer light. Maybe if I'm just hanging out here and watching TV or something, when I eventually hang one on the wall. But I'm going to drop the link to the Amazon affiliate link for the lights, for the lasers, and anything else I could think of down below. So make sure to keep following the series. Appreciate you watching, and make sure to hit that like and subscribe.